Imagine a land of golden temples, a land of emerald jungles, a land of ancient kingdoms and breathtaking contrasts. Imagine a country where ornate shrines rise from dense tropical forests, where turquoise waters cradle limestone cliffs like scattered jewels, and where the warmth of its people is as legendary as its landscapes. Welcome to Thailand, the heart of Southeast Asia, a country where spirituality, nature, and vibrant modern life collide in the most spectacular of ways. In this tropical kingdom, two seasons shape daily life, the lush monsoon and the brilliant dry season, creating an ever-changing canvas of landscapes that shifts from glassy mountain lakes to amber paddy fields to electric blue ocean. Thailand is a biological treasure trove. Here you can find thousands of plant species found nowhere else on Earth, exotic wildlife including wild elephants, clouded leopards and sun bears, as well as coral reefs that burst with color beneath glittering seas. From the misty highlands of the north to the sugar-white beaches of the south, from the ancient ruins of forgotten kingdoms to the neon-lit towers of Asia's most electric city, Thailand pulses with life at every turn. But this nation is far more than natural beauty. With over 70 million inhabitants and a heritage stretching back thousands of years, Thailand is a living monument to resilience and creativity. It has never been colonized by a foreign power, a point of enormous national pride, and this independence is woven into every thread of its cultural identity. The very word Thai means free, and that spirit of freedom is felt everywhere. In the impromptu festivals that take over entire streets, in the independent artisans who still practice generations-old crafts, and in the fierce pride with which every region celebrates its own distinct cuisine, dialect, and traditions. Thailand is the world's leading exporter of rice and natural rubber, a titan of global tourism that welcomed nearly 40 million visitors annually before the pandemic, and a rising economic star increasingly shaping the future of Southeast Asia. The country's GDP has grown steadily for decades, fueled by its extraordinary hospitality industry, its deep water ports, and a manufacturing sector that has made it one of the world's top producers of automobiles and electronics. The wealth of this nation, however, runs deeper than commerce. Over 95% of the population practices Theravada Buddhism, and its influence is seen everywhere. In the saffron-robed monks who walk through morning markets collecting alms at dawn, in the 40,000 temples scattered across every province, and in the deep sense of calm and grace that visitors so often remark upon. Yet within this spiritual unity lives extraordinary diversity. Hill tribes in the north preserving ancient animist traditions and vibrant hand-woven textiles. Malay Muslim communities in the south, whose mosques and fishing villages have more in common with Malaysia than Bangkok, and a Chinese-Thai heritage that flavors the food, art, and business culture of the country's great cities. But now, let us move on to visit its most beautiful and iconic places. Chiang Mai. Nestled in a valley encircled by misty mountains in Thailand's north, Chiang Mai is the soul of the ancient Lanta kingdom. Founded in 1296 by King Mengrai, it served as the capital of the Lanta civilization for nearly 5 centuries, and that deep cultural inheritance is still palpable on every street corner. The old city, contained within a moat and crumbling brick walls, is a labyrinth of golden temples, over 300 of them, where incense drifts through the morning air and monks chant at dawn in a sound that seems to vibrate in the chest. Doi Inthanon Temple, perched high on a forested mountain overlooking the city, is perhaps the most sacred site in northern Thailand. Legend says that a white elephant carrying a holy relic wandered up the mountain and trumpeted 3 times before dying. And so the temple was built precisely where the animal stopped. Today, a long Naga-flanked staircase of 309 steps leads pilgrims upward through forest to the glittering chedi and panoramic views that stretch endlessly across jungle canopy and the city below. Back in the city, the celebrated Sunday night market transforms the old streets of Railay into a river of color, craft, and fragrance that stretches for nearly a kilometer. Here, northern Thai food traditions stand deliciously apart from the rest of the country. Khao soi, a rich coconut curry noodle soup, topped with crispy fried noodles, is the dish most associated with Chiang Mai, and it is extraordinary. Beyond the city itself, the surrounding mountains are dotted with hill tribe villages, Hmong, Karen, Aka, and Lahu communities, each with their own dress, language, and traditions. And each November, the skies above Chiang Mai are transformed for the Yipeng Lantern Festival, when thousands upon thousands of paper lanterns rise into the night sky simultaneously, creating one of the most beautiful sights on the planet. Chiang Mai is not merely a city, it is a state of mind, slow and contemplative, where elephants still walk jungle trails and lanterns float into a starlit sky. Phi Phi Islands. Rising dramatically from the Andaman Sea, the Phi Phi Islands are among the most visually striking places on the planet. These 6 islands, carved by millennia of waves and wind, feature towering limestone cliffs draped in tropical green, plunging into waters so clear that the seabed seems suspended in glass. Arriving by boat between the 2 main islands of Phi Phi Don and Phi Phi Lay, the channel of perfectly turquoise water opening before you between sheer cliff walls, is a moment that takes the breath away every single time. Maya Bay, sheltered within a natural amphitheater of rock on Phi Phi Lay, became famous across the world and remains a place of almost impossible beauty. The Thai government periodically closes it to allow coral recovery, a sign of growing commitment to protecting what is truly precious here. Beneath the surface, coral gardens teem with blacktip reef sharks, sea turtles, and schools of vibrant fish that shimmer in the filtered light like living stained glass. Snorkeling at Pile Lagoon, a semi-enclosed emerald pool ringed by vertical cliff walls, is an experience so beautiful it feels almost fictional. At sunset, longtail boats cut silhouettes across a horizon painted in amber and rose. By night, the beach bars of Phi Phi Don come alive, bonfires lit and fire twirlers spinning above the sand. And in the morning, before the day boats arrive, the islands return to silence, sea, rock, and sky, in pure, uninterrupted conversation. The Phi Phi Islands are a reminder that some corners of the world still live up to every dream. Pop quiz number 1. Thailand is the world's largest exporter of which grain? A. Wheat. B. Rice. C. Corn. D. Barley. We will reveal the answer at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Bangkok. Frenetic, dazzling, and impossibly alive, Bangkok is one of the great cities of the world. This megalopolis of over 10 million souls, swelling to nearly 15 million in the greater metropolitan area, is a kaleidoscope of extremes that makes visitors feel as though they have landed somewhere operating on its own rules of reality. Gleaming skyscrapers tower above ancient waterways called klongs, still plied by wooden boats. Gold-encrusted temples stand a short walk from rooftop cocktail bars surveying a skyline of glass and neon. Tuk-tuks weave through traffic beside the elevated SkyTrain that glides above it all in smooth, air-conditioned silence. The Grand Palace, a breathtaking complex of spired halls and mirrored mosaics built in 1782, stands at the city's ancient heart as a testament to centuries of royal craftsmanship. Within its grounds, Wat Phra Kaew, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, houses Thailand's most sacred religious icon, a small jade Buddha figure dressed in seasonal royal garments changed by the king himself 3 times a year. The scale and intricacy of the palace complex is genuinely overwhelming. Every surface seems to be encrusted with colored glass, gold leaf, or hand-painted porcelain. Nearby, Wat Pho shelters the extraordinary reclining Buddha, 46 meters of gold leaf serenity stretched beneath an elaborately painted ceiling, its feet inlaid with 108 mother-of-pearl panels depicting the auspicious characteristics of the Buddha. Wat Arun, the Temple of Dawn, rises on the opposite bank of the Chao Phraya River, its iconic prang encrusted with fragments of Chinese porcelain that catch the morning light in 1,000 flashes of color. But Bangkok is far more than its temples. The floating market of Dam Noan Saduak, the immense weekend market of Chatuchak with its 15,000 stalls, the luxury malls of Siam, the street art of Charon Krung, and the Michelin-starred restaurants sitting steps from legendary street food stalls, all of it coexists in a city of permanent, joyous, overwhelming contradiction. It is in the alleys and warungs, small street kitchens, where Bangkok reveals its truest soul. Here, a bowl of pad see ew can lead to a conversation that lasts for hours. Here is a hidden fun fact. The full ceremonial name of Bangkok is considered the longest place name in the world, containing 169 characters in Thai. It translates roughly as City of Angels, Great City of Immortals, Magnificent City of the Nine Gems, Seat of the King, City of Royal Palaces, Home of Gods Incarnate, erected by Vishvakarman at Indra's behest. Locals simply call it Krung Thep, City of Angels. Ayutthaya. Just 80 kilometers north of Bangkok, the ancient city of Ayutthaya sleeps among the ruins of its own greatness. Founded in 1350, it grew to become one of the largest and wealthiest cities in the world, home to 1 million people at its peak, when London had barely 200,000. Foreign traders from Persia, Portugal, Japan, China, and the Netherlands all maintained trading posts here, making it a truly cosmopolitan capital of extraordinary sophistication. Then, in 1767, after a 2-year siege, Burmese forces sacked and burned the city, melting down its golden Buddhas, looting its treasures, and leaving behind the skeletal temples that stand in quiet grandeur to this day. Wandering through the Ayutthaya Historical Park at dawn, when the light turns golden and river mist still hangs between the stupas, is a profoundly moving experience. Headless Buddha statues peer from crumbling brick towers. Lotus-shaped chedis rise above still reflecting pools. And in the most iconic image of the entire site, perhaps of all Thailand, a stone Buddha head has been slowly embraced by the roots of an enormous banyan tree over centuries, until the face gazes serenely outward through a web of smooth grey wood. No one knows quite how it got there, and no one entirely needs to know. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, Ayutthaya is a conversation between the past and the present, carried on in silence and stone. Sukhothai. In the fertile plains of central Thailand, Sukhothai stands as the cradle of Thai civilization. The name means dawn of happiness, and the ancient city more than lives up to its poetic name. Founded in the 13th century, this was the first true capital of a Thai kingdom. The place where the Thai alphabet was invented, where Theravada Buddhism took root as the state religion, and where the distinctly Thai aesthetic in art, architecture, and culture first fully flowered. Walking the historic park at dawn, when light filters through low mist and gilds the Buddha statue's gold, when the only sounds are birdsong and the soft ripple of water in the ancient moats, is to step directly into living history. The seated Buddhas of Sukhothai are considered among the finest examples of Buddhist sculpture anywhere in the world, their expressions of infinite calm radiating across 7 centuries. The walking Buddha figures, unique to this period, seem to float rather than stand, their hands raised in a gesture of blessing, their form conveying a sense of divine grace that no photograph entirely captures. The surrounding park with its moat, gates, and gardens has been lovingly restored, and cycling between the temple complexes as the morning light shifts is one of the quiet pleasures of Southeast Asian travel. Sukhothai earned its UNESCO World Heritage status, and standing here, it is easy to understand why. Railay Beach. Accessible only by boat, the towering limestone cliffs that ring this peninsula make road access simply impossible. Railay is one of those rare places on Earth where geography itself creates paradise. And in doing so, it filters out a certain type of visitor entirely, leaving behind only those willing to arrive by long-tail boat through crashing surf. The reward is immense. The beaches here are among the finest in all of Thailand, with pale, powder-soft sand running into water the color of shallow tropical glass, a particular shade of luminous aquamarine that exists seemingly only in southern Thailand and in the dreams of those who have seen it. Phra Nang Beach, at the southern tip of the peninsula, is widely considered one of the most beautiful beaches in Asia. At its far end, a sacred cave contains hundreds of wooden phalluses left as offerings to a sea princess spirit said to guarantee good fishing and safe passage. Rock climbers from around the world scale the sheer cliff faces for views that stretch across the Andaman in every direction. Railay and neighboring Tonsai have become world-famous climbing destinations with hundreds of established routes. Hidden caves wind into the rock interior, their walls dripping with ancient stalactites. At low tide, the sea retreats to reveal tidal pools alive with starfish and small creatures. Railay is the kind of place that makes travelers forget what day it is and feel entirely at peace about it. Doi Inthanon National Park. At the crown of Thailand, where mist clings to ancient hill tribe villages and the air turns cool and clean and smells of pine, lies Doi Inthanon, the country's highest peak at 2,565 meters above sea level. Known as the Roof of Thailand, the mountain and its surrounding national park are blanketed in cloud forest of extraordinary biological richness. Over 380 bird species have been recorded here, among the highest concentrations anywhere in Southeast Asia, making it a paradise for ornithologists who come from around the world specifically to seek the rare species that exist only in these cool highland habitats. Twin royal pagodas, built in the early 1990s to honor the king and queen on their respective birthdays, sit upon the mountain ridge surrounded by immaculate gardens of temperate flowers, roses, chrysanthemums, and orchids blooming in a carefully tended landscape that feels utterly surreal amid tropical Thailand. Multiple powerful waterfalls cascade through mossy green gorges further down the mountain, including Mae Ya, arguably the most beautiful waterfall in the entire country, a wide cascade that tumbles 280 meters through layers of jungle-draped rock. Karen and Hmong Hill tribe communities maintain cultural traditions here that predate any modern border or political division, farming the high slopes with traditional methods and weaving textiles of remarkable intricacy. A visit to Doi Inthanon is a reminder that Thailand contains multitudes, that within a country so famous for beaches and temples, there exists a cool, quiet, misty world of mountain forests and mountain peoples that is utterly unlike anywhere else. Pop quiz number 2. Approximately how many Buddhist temples are there in Thailand? A. 5,000, B. 15,000, C. 40,000, D. 100,000. We will reveal all the answers at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Chiang Mai and the White Temple. In Thailand's northernmost province, where the borders of Myanmar and Laos converge at the fabled Golden Triangle, where three countries meet at the junction of the Mekong and Ruak rivers, lies a region of quiet intensity and layered history. The Golden Triangle was once the heart of the world's opium trade, and the House of Opium Museum in nearby Sop Ruak tells this complex, sometimes brutal history with remarkable candor and depth. Chiang Mai, the province's capital, is home to one of the most startling and original works of contemporary art anywhere in the world, Wat Rong Kun, universally known as the White Temple. Unlike any Buddhist temple built before it, the White Temple is the ongoing, evolving vision of a single artist, Chalam Chai Kosit Pipat, who began constructing it in 1997 and intends it to take 90 years to complete. It is entirely clad in white plaster and mirrored glass, so that it glitters with blinding brilliance beneath the tropical sun, looking in certain light like a structure made entirely of frozen light. Its interior murals are where the real artistic audacity reveals itself. A swirling fusion of Buddhist iconography, Thai mythology, and contemporary pop culture that includes figures from Western cinema, comic books, and global news events woven into images of heaven, hell, and the path between them. The effect is simultaneously reverent and anarchic, deeply Thai and radically modern. Nearby, the Blue Temple, a newer work of surreal azure beauty, and the Black House, a haunting collection of dark wood pavilions filled with animal bones and folk art, complete an artistic triangle unlike anything elsewhere in Thailand. Elephant Nature Park. In the hills outside Chiang Mai, a different kind of encounter awaits, one that many visitors describe as the most moving experience of their entire time in Thailand. The Elephant Nature Park is an ethical sanctuary founded by Lek Chailur, a woman who has devoted her life to the rescue and rehabilitation of Asian elephants. The animals here, many of them rescued from logging operations, street begging, and exploitative tourist camps, roam freely through forested grounds along the wide Ping River. Visitors walk alongside these extraordinary animals, feed them baskets of fruit and vegetables, and watch them splash contentedly in the river shallows in a state of evident contentment. There is no riding, no elephant painting shows, no bullhook in sight. There is only the quiet, overwhelming experience of being near creatures of such intelligence, emotional complexity, and sheer physical presence in something approaching their natural dignity. Watching a rescued elephant who has known only chains discover for the first time what it is to walk freely through forest is not something any visitor forgets. The park also rescues dogs, water buffalo, and cats, and its model of ethical wildlife tourism has inspired dozens of similar projects across Southeast Asia. It is a reminder that responsible travel can be both joyful and genuinely good, that the choices travelers make about how they spend their money in a destination have real consequences for the animals and communities that live there. Similan Islands. Far offshore in the Andaman Sea, accessible only by overnight boat or small aircraft from Phuket, the Similan Islands form one of the world's premier diving and snorkeling destinations. This chain of 9 granite islands, their name derived from the Malay word for 9, rises from waters of extraordinary clarity, where visibility can stretch 30 meters in every direction through water of a deep, saturated cobalt blue. Below the surface, manta rays with wingspans of up to 6 meters glide in lazy circles over pristine, hard coral formations. Whale sharks, the largest fish on Earth, pass through seasonally in slow and silent magnificence. Hawksbill turtles drift through blue water canyons between formations of granite boulders colonized with soft corals in colors that seem to belong to a different spectrum of light entirely. The underwater topography is dramatic and varied. Swim through caves, dramatic drop-offs, shallow reef gardens, and deep pinnacles that attract the largest pelagic species. Above the waterline, the island's granite boulders, enormous spheres of weathered rock, tumble into white sand coves of startling beauty, their smooth curves draped in coconut palms and sea lavender. The Similans are open only from October to May, closed for 5 months each year to allow the marine ecosystem to recover, a policy that has kept the reefs in exceptional health. Every visit feels like a privilege, which it truly is. Kanchanaburi and the River Kwai. In the western province of Kanchanaburi, history and natural beauty sit side by side in a combination that is at once deeply moving and genuinely spectacular. The bridge on the River Kwai, the famous steel railway bridge constructed by Allied prisoners of war under Imperial Japanese command during World War II, still stands over the wide brown river, still carries a tourist train across it twice daily, and still draws visitors from around the world who come to understand one of the most harrowing chapters in the history of human endurance. The Death Railway Museum and the Kanchanaburi War Cemetery together tell the story of the 100,000 Asian laborers and 16,000 Allied prisoners who died building the 415-kilometer railway through the jungle to Burma, their graves maintained in immaculate quiet rows of white stone. The experience of walking these grounds is one of sober, profound reflection. Yet the landscape that witnessed such suffering is one of extraordinary beauty. The river itself flows wide and slow between forested limestone hills. Erawan National Park, just a short drive north, contains 7 tiers of emerald green waterfall pools, their water the color of liquid jade, filled with friendly fish that nibble gently at the feet of wading visitors. The surrounding forest is alive with hornbills, gibbons, and the slow, dappled movement of light through ancient trees. Kanchanaburi holds both the best and the worst of what human history contains, and visiting it honestly means holding both at once. Here is another hidden fun fact. Thailand is home to the world's smallest mammal, the bumblebee bat, or Kitty's hog-nosed bat, measuring just 3 centimeters long and weighing less than a 2-gram coin. It was discovered only in 1973 in limestone caves in western Thailand and remains one of the rarest mammals on Earth. Ko Lanta. South of Krabi, the long, largely undeveloped island of Ko Lanta stretches for nearly 30 kilometers. Its western coast a sequence of wide, gentle beaches backed by hills of rubber plantation and secondary jungle. Ko Lanta has resisted the overdevelopment that has transformed some of its more famous neighbors, and the result is an island that retains something increasingly rare in southern Thailand. A sense of genuine place, of a community that existed before tourism arrived and continues to live alongside it on its own terms. The island's southern tip is a national park of mangrove forest, coral gardens and sea turtle nesting beaches. Sea cave kayaking through the limestone formations of Ko Lanta Marine National Park offers a dreamlike experience of gliding through dark caverns that open unexpectedly into sun-filled lagoons ringed by cliff walls. The sunsets over the Andaman from Ko Lanta's western beaches, which face due west with no obstruction, are among the finest in Thailand, the sky turning through shades of orange, magenta and violet above an absolutely flat sea horizon. Lopburi, City of Monkeys. Not every remarkable place in Thailand announces itself with dramatic natural beauty. Some announce themselves with chaos, comedy, and an entirely unexpected density of macaque monkeys. Lopburi, a small city north of Bangkok, has a dual identity. It is first a city of genuine historical significance. The ancient Khmer-influenced temples of Prang Sam Yot and Prang Kaik date from the 11th and 12th centuries and bear the unmistakable architectural fingerprints of Angkor. But it is, perhaps more famously, a city that has been comprehensively colonized by long-tailed macaques. Thousands of them. They are everywhere. On the temple ruins, on the telephone wires, on the rooftops, in the market stalls, on the heads of unsuspecting tourists. The monkeys have become so integral to Lopburi's identity that the city holds an annual monkey buffet festival in November, in which vast banquet tables of fruit, vegetables and sweets are laid out for the macaques in a ceremony of elaborate absurdity that draws visitors from across the country. It is ridiculous, chaotic, mildly dangerous to your sunglasses, and absolutely unforgettable. Amphawa Floating Market. While Damno and Sajuak is the most famous floating market in Thailand, the Amphawa Floating Market in Samut Songkhram province offers something arguably more authentic and considerably less crowded. This weekend market comes alive in the late afternoon and evening, unlike most Thai markets, which trade by day, transforming a network of canals through an old riverside town into a floating feast of seafood, grilled corn, Thai desserts and fresh fruit, all sold from wooden boats paddled by vendors who seem entirely unbothered by the smoke rising from a dozen braziers at once. After dark, long-tail boats take visitors further into the canal network to witness one of the quieter wonders of the Thai countryside. Firefly forests, where ancient rain trees beside the waterway pulse with thousands of synchronized fireflies, creating a natural light show of remarkable beauty. The surrounding area is dotted with wooden shophouses and century-old temples, and the atmosphere of Amphawa on a Saturday evening, lantern-lit, fragrant, alive with the sound of Thai conversation and the sizzle of river prawns on charcoal, captures something essential and enduring about Thai life. Phuket. Thailand's largest island and its most internationally famous beach destination needs little introduction. But it deserves one that goes beyond its reputation. Yes, the Patong Strip, with its cacophony of bars, tailors and tuk-tuk touts, is real. But Phuket is a large and varied island with a far more layered identity than its party beach reputation suggests. Phuket town, the provincial capital, is a gem of Sino-Portuguese colonial architecture, gracefully decaying shophouse facades in dusty ochre and peeling turquoise, their 5-footway arcades sheltering coffee shops and art galleries and restaurants serving Hokkien noodles from recipes brought by Chinese tin miners in the 19th century. Cape Phomthep at the island's southern tip is one of the best sunset viewing points in all of Thailand. A rocky headland where a lighthouse stands above crashing surf, and the entire population of the island seems to gather each evening to watch the sun go down. The interior of the island is still largely forested and wild, and the waters to the north, Phangan Bay, with its extraordinary limestone karst formations rising from flat green water, are among the most visually distinctive seascapes on the planet. James Bond Island, where The Man with the Golden Gun was filmed in 1974, is just one of dozens of extraordinary rock formations visible on a single boat trip through the bay. The Full Moon Party, Koh Phangan. Every month, on the beach of Hat Rin on the island of Koh Phangan in the Gulf of Thailand, something extraordinary happens. As the full moon rises, thousands of travelers from every country on Earth gather on the sand for one of the world's most famous beach celebrations. Fire dancers trace luminous arcs in the darkness. Music fills the warm night air from dozens of stages along the shoreline. Fluorescent body paint glows under UV lights. Buckets of mixed spirits are shared among strangers who arrived as strangers and leave as something approaching friends. It is a tradition that began in the late 1980s with a small group of backpackers who simply stayed on the beach all night, and has since grown into a global phenomenon that draws 20,000 to 30,000 people monthly. But Koh Phangan is far more than this single famous event. The island's northern and western coasts are lined with quiet beaches of great natural beauty. Bottle Beach, accessible only by boat, may be the finest of all. And the interior is a landscape of forested hills, waterfalls, and working coconut plantations. The Half Moon and Black Moon parties offer similar experiences on a smaller scale, and the island's yoga retreat scene has grown to rival Bali's. Koh Phangan contains multitudes. Erawan National Park and Hellfire Pass. The seven-tiered waterfall of Erawan in Kanchanaburi province is without question the most beautiful waterfall complex in Thailand and one of the finest in all of Southeast Asia. Beginning from a wide, powerful top tier and cascading through increasingly intimate and exquisite pools, down through ancient rainforest, each level offers its own perfect combination of turquoise water, mossy boulders, and overhanging tropical vegetation. The small, friendly fish that swarm in the lower pools, nibbling gently at the feet of wading visitors in what is essentially a natural spa experience, are a defining and delightful detail of the place. A short drive northwest of Erawan, Hellfire Pass is one of the most significant and affecting heritage sites in all of Southeast Asia. This deep cutting through solid rock, 500 meters long and 25 meters deep in places, was cut entirely by hand by Allied prisoners of war and Asian forced laborers working around the clock through the monsoon of 1943, by the light of fires that gave the pass its name. The Australian government maintains an exceptional museum at the site, and walking the restored section of track through the cutting, in silence, in the same morning light those prisoners worked by, is an experience of genuine historical gravity that no visitor to the region should miss. Korat, Nakhon Ratchasima, and the northeast. Thailand's northeast, the vast plateau region known as Isan, is the most overlooked part of the country and, for the independently minded traveler, perhaps the most rewarding. It is where Thailand's Khmer heritage is most powerfully visible, where the country's best silk is woven, where the food is most fiercely spiced, and where tourists are still sufficiently rare to be greeted with genuine, uncomplicated curiosity and warmth. Phi Phi Historical Park, near the city of Korat, contains the finest Khmer temple complex in Thailand, a 12th century sanctuary connected by a royal road directly to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Its sandstone towers and intricately carved lintels equal in quality to anything in the Angkor complex itself. Phanom Rung, further south, is even more dramatically situated, a Khmer sanctuary built on the rim of an extinct volcano, its long avenue of Naga-bordered staircases and its central prang perfectly aligned so that twice a year, at the spring and autumn equinoxes, the rising sun shines precisely through all 15 of the temple's doorways simultaneously. The silk village of Pak Thong Chai, the dinosaur fossils of Pu Wiang, and the limestone cliffs and forest trails of Pha Thiem National Park, where prehistoric rock paintings overlook the Mekong, add further layers to a region that rewards every traveler who makes the journey off the beaten path. Samui and the Gulf Islands. Koh Samui, Koh Phangan and Koh Tao form a constellation of islands in the Gulf of Thailand, whose individual characters are as distinct as their underwater landscapes. Koh Samui is the largest and most developed, a resort island of white sand beaches, luxury hotels, and manicured coconut groves whose famous Big Buddha and Grandmother and Grandfather rocks have become icons of the Thai holiday postcard. Chaweng Beach on the east coast is lively and social. Mae Nam on the north is quieter and slower, and the interior, a landscape of forested hills and waterfall-fed streams, is largely unexplored by the beach-going majority. Koh Tao, the smallest of the three and historically one of the last stops on the backpacker trail south, has become, perhaps unexpectedly, one of the finest places on Earth to learn to scuba dive. The calm, clear waters of its eastern bays, abundant marine life, and the extraordinary concentration of dive schools that have grown up here over the past 30 years make it possible to gain an internationally recognized open water certification within 4 days at very reasonable cost. The underwater landscape, fields of staghorn coral, schools of glassy sweepers, reef sharks resting on the sandy bottom, makes every training dive a genuine pleasure. Concluding this visual journey through Thailand, we have moved from the golden spires of its ancient temples and the wild green of its rainforests to the luminous waters of its islands and the sacred calm of its mountain sanctuaries. From the chaotic electric energy of its great city to the quiet reflection of its war memorials and ruins, discovering together not only places but also traditions, histories, flavors, and ways of life that make every corner of this kingdom extraordinary. We have walked through mist to Buddhist temples on sacred peaks, drifted through floating markets by lamplight, descended into coral gardens beside creatures of impossible grace, wandered among ruins that have watched 5 centuries pass, and stood on beaches where the world seems to reduce itself to the simple essentials of light and water and warmth. Thailand rewards every type of traveler: the adventurous and the contemplative, the hedonist and the pilgrim, the foodie and the naturalist, the history seeker and the sunset chaser. We hope that the images and stories told have enriched your knowledge and ignited a real and urgent desire to personally explore the extraordinary diversity of this beautiful land of smiles. For those who stayed here are the answers to the 2 pop quizzes. If you enjoyed this journey through Thailand, please subscribe so you never miss our next destination. We post a new country every week, and there are hundreds of wonders still to share with you. And we genuinely want to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling us where in the world you'd like us to explore next. It could be a country, a specific region, a hidden corner you think deserves more attention. The world is enormous, the wonders are endless, and we are only just getting started. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wandering, and keep discovering the infinite wonders this world has to offer. Safe travels, friends.